The question there ultimately is does Christianity remain the same if it takes on the cultural trappings or thinking there in a way of another world? Martin Scorsese I just lost someone who meant everything to him. For nearly 40 years they shared secrets that changed cinema forever. But on January 15, 2025, tragedy struck. The phone call that shattered Scorsese I came at 3:00 a.m. Within hours he was posting tributes that broke the hearts of millions. But this loss revealed something even more painful, a hidden project they worked on together, final conversation that haunts him, and a promise Scorsese I can never keep. Today, we're uncovering the heartbreaking truth about what really happened. Martin Charles Scorsese I was born on November 17, 1942 in the Flushing neighborhood of Queens, New York City, though he spent most of his childhood in Manhattan's Little Italy. His early years were shaped by chronic asthma, condition so severe that it kept him from joining the other children in sports or outdoor games. Stuck inside, he turned to movies. His parents and older brother often took him to theaters, and he developed an early obsession with films, especially Powell and Pressburger's The Tales of Hoffmann from 1951. He rented that movie over and over from a local shop. Both of his parents, Catherine Kappa and Charles Scorsese I, worked in New York's garment district. Charles was a clothes presser while Catherine worked as a seamstress. But what made them stand out was how they later appeared in their son's films. First, they were ordinary working-class immigrants, but they became memorable faces on screen. During the premiere of Mean Streets at the New York Film Festival in 1973, Catherine caused a stir when she told people in the lobby, "I just want you to know we never used that word in the house. I don't know where he got it from." She was referring to the film's heavy use of profanity, which she rejected as a devout Catholic, even though it was key to the film's realism. Both she and her husband would go on to appear in Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and the family documentary Italian American, leaving their own small mark on cinema. Scorsese's first serious steps toward filmmaking came during his time at New York University, not when he was a child. In 1963, he directed What's a Nice Girl Like You Doing in a Place Like This, followed in 1964 by It's Not You, Murray. These shorts showed his early talent for handheld camera work and quick dynamic storytelling. He had been deeply inspired by his film history professor, whose passion for cinema convinced him that filmmaking was more than a dream. With just 16mm film and limited resources, he created stories that hinted at the mastery he would later bring to classics like Taxi Driver and Goodfellas. In 1967, he made The Big Shave, a 6-minute short that shocked audiences. The film showed a man calmly shaving in a spotless white bathroom until he cut into his own skin, continuing until the scene was filled with blood. It was a disturbing but powerful metaphor for America's involvement in the Vietnam War. The soundtrack was Bunny Berrigan's I Can't Get Started, and it was filmed on donated AGA color film at NYU. Though only 6 minutes long, it used music, violence, and montage to leave a lasting impact and revealed Scorsese's willingness to use bold imagery to deliver a message. By 1969, at the age of 27, he was working as one of 7 editors on Michael Wadley's Woodstock documentary. The project involved 120 hours of raw concert footage from more than a dozen cameras. Despite the modest pay, the experience was invaluable. He was remembered for his intensity, even once panicking when trapped under a collapsed pup tent backstage because of his claustrophobia. The challenge of condensing the enormous footage into a story taught him techniques he would later use in Goodfellas, especially the rapid montage style that became one of his trademarks. Not long after, he met producer Roger Corman, who offered him His first studio film, Corman gave him $600,000 and only 24 days to shoot Boxcar Bertha. In Arkansas, the deal came with demands. The film had to include nudity, violence, explosions, and car chases. Scorsese had to cut corners, abandoning plans to shoot in Baton Rouge and Texarkana and instead relying on Arkansas locations, including the Reeder Railroad for train scenes. The experience taught him how to keep his vision alive even when working under strict financial and creative limits, a lesson that would prove essential later in his career. Around this time, director Brian De Palma introduced him to Robert De Niro at a Christmas dinner. De Palma had already seen De Niro's talent and believed he was perfect for Scorsese's style of storytelling. The two quickly bonded, realizing they had mutual friends from New York. That meeting led to De Niro's role in Mean Streets in 1973. It was the beginning of one of the most celebrated partnerships in film history, with the two working together on 9 films including Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and The Irishman. In 1973, while struggling financially, Scorsese discovered the Rolling Stones. He became obsessed with their raw energy, feeling it captured the spirit of the world he was living in. He began using their music in his films, starting with Jumping Jack Flash to introduce Robert De Niro's character Johnny Boy in Mean Streets. The Stones' music became a hallmark of his films, adding intensity and authenticity. Decades later, his obsession came full circle when he directed Shine a Light in 2008, a concert documentary filmed with 18 cameras and multiple Oscar-winning cinematographers. But fame and success came at a cost. By 1978, his cocaine use had spiraled into a dangerous addiction. At the Cannes Film Festival, he shocked interviewers when he suddenly declared, "No more coke, no more interviews," and arranged for a private plane to bring him more drugs from Paris. The addiction, which had started as a way to cope with self-doubt, turned him into someone